Welcome to part two of the story of Joseph for our Bible study challenge. For the next part of the story, we're going to skip from Genesis 37 over to Genesis 39. At this point, Potiphar had already purchased Joseph from the merchants. He brought him home to his house and made him overseer over all that he had. Because Joseph had such an anointing on his life from God, Potiphar entrusted him with everything. Only thing he cared about was just making sure he had food and that his clothes were ready when it's time to leave out the house. Everything else, Joseph was overseeing. Everything was going all good until one day Joseph came back to the house and nobody else was really around except for Potiphar's wife, and some servants were coming and going. As he passed by, she started calling out to him, trying to get him to come into the bedroom and lay with her. And he was like, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going. I got too much going for me right now, and this will just mess everything up. And she kept calling for him and grabbing at him, physically grabbing at his clothes and stuff. And he decided to do the right thing. He actually fled. He ran away. But his garment came off and she held on to it and tried to scream, hey, help. He tried to come in unto me. Then when Potiphar came home, heard the news, he was, of course, very upset, called for Joseph and threw him in prison. So once again, Joseph is in the pit, in the prison, feeling like, man, I'm just getting shoved around, pushed around. What else is going to happen? Sometimes that's just how it is. We feel like we've been pushed down, but I believe that sometimes that's just a positioning, not necessarily a setback and a push down. While he's in prison, he's going to meet two very important individuals, and I believe God was setting this whole thing up for a reason. But we have to wait for a quick minute to see what their reason is in the next chapter. Alright, in chapter 40, we finally get to see who Joseph meets while he's in prison. It turns out Pharaoh was displeased with something that either the butler or the baker that worked for him had done. So he threw them in prison. And while they're there, they both on the same night had kind of strange dreams. And when they woke up, they were uneasy and they were looking for somebody who can give them some kind of answer about what the dream might mean. Joseph listened to the dreams and told him, yeah, God gives me interpretations and I'll tell you what I think it means. For the butler, he saw a stalk with 3 vines and grapes were hanging from those vines. He crushed the grapes, made a juice, made a wine, presented it to Pharaoh, and he drank. For the baker, there were 3 baskets on his head with meat inside, and birds were coming and eating from the meat. Joseph right away knew that that was not a good sign. Seeing birds doing anything on your head was not good. So he told him, in 3 days, you won't be here anymore, basically. He told the butler, hey, when you get back, don't forget about me. When you talk to Pharaoh and you go back to serving, don't forget about me. And of course, he went about his way saying, yeah, don't worry, I got you. 3 days passed, and they're having a dinner or whatever, and the butler goes and he gives Pharaoh the cup, and Pharaoh drinks, and he's pleased. Meanwhile, the baker presents whatever he had to Pharaoh. It wasn't his day. Pharaoh actually hanged him in front of everybody. And although the butler saw what happened and saw that the dream had come true and that Joseph was correct, he still forgot about him. Still left him there, sitting in prison. For me, that kind of reminds me of how, as Christians, we're supposed to be the lenders and not the borrowers. Well, sometimes we lend out, and when we don't get back, we get kind of upset. We get mad if people forget about us. We've done somebody a favor, we've given somebody something, and they don't always come back and appreciate it. They don't always come back and pay us back our dues. But we have to just remember, they're not our source. God is our source. He will come back and provide whatever it is we think we might have lost. So anytime we're going to give out something, don't expect it back. You can call the person once or twice, and say, hey, do you have that? But if they don't, I wouldn't harass them. I wouldn't worry about it. I just pray about it, let it go. Oh yeah, one more thing as I'm editing this video. If anybody has any additional comments or insight into the story of Joseph, anything I might not have seen in the reading, please let me know. Throw it down in the comments. I'll be reading everything that comes in. And also I got a question for somebody who might know. Why was it that Pharaoh was pleased with what the butler had done, making him a wine? He drank from the cup and he was pleased. Whereas for the baker, I imagine he gave him some baked goods, some sweets, and he wasn't pleased and he still killed him. So if anybody could maybe let me know, maybe at Bible school or something, they taught you this, a little bit of background information. So just let me know. Leave it down in the comments. Appreciate it. Be blessed.